I should have seen it coming. My sister Maya had been stealing from me my entire life, my clothes, my friends, my boyfriends. But I never thought she'd go this far. 3 days before my wedding, I found her in my fiancé's bed, wearing the lingerie I'd bought for our honeymoon. And that's when I realized forgiveness was over. It was time for the wedding gift she'd never forget. Growing up, Maya was the golden child. Prettier, smarter, more charming, or so everyone said. At 16, she stole my prom date by convincing Tommy Martinez I was interested in someone else. At 22, she moved in with my college boyfriend David while I was studying abroad in Italy, claiming she was helping him through his father's death. Each time, my parents defended her with the same tired excuses. "Maya doesn't mean to hurt you," Mom would say, stroking my hair while I cried. "She just has this magnetic personality. People are drawn to her." Dad would add, "Your sister's not malicious. She's just young and doesn't think things through." But Maya always thought things through. I learned that the hard way when I found her diary at 15, full of detailed plans for stealing my friends, my opportunities, my life. She'd written about Tommy, "Claire's so boring. I bet I could get him to notice me in one conversation." About David, "He's too good for Claire anyway. She doesn't appreciate what she has." I thought Jake Patterson was different. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. We met at a restaurant where I waitressed to pay for nursing school, and he worked as a line cook with dreams bigger than his paycheck. Jake loved how I made him laugh during his worst kitchen disasters, scraping burned sauce off pans at 2 in the morning while he practiced new recipes. He loved how I supported his dreams of opening a restaurant, contributing my entire savings, $23,000, to his business plan when banks wouldn't give him a loan. He loved how I believed in him when his own family called him a failure for dropping out of college to attend culinary school. Jake had seen Maya manipulate men before. He'd been there during family dinners when she flirted shamelessly with my high school boyfriend Matt, right in front of me. He'd rolled his eyes at her wedding commentary. "Claire's so practical, but wouldn't something more form-fitting be better? You want Jake to be excited, not comfortable." He'd laughed when she accidentally spilled red wine on our engagement photos at last year's Christmas party, claiming the lighting made me look washed out. "Your sister is exhausting," he told me after that party. "I don't know how you put up with her constant drama." I defended Maya like always. She means well. She just doesn't have a filter. The rehearsal dinner was perfect. We'd rented the private dining room at Bella Vista, the restaurant where Jake and I had our first official date. 50 of our closest family and friends filled the space with laughter and champagne toasts. Jake squeezed my hand under the table while my father gave a speech about finding your person, about how proud he was to welcome Jake into our family. Maya sat across from us, radiant in her sapphire bridesmaid dress that cost me $400, toasting our happiness with that smile I'd trusted my whole life. She'd insisted on sitting directly across from Jake, claiming it was the best spot for photos. Throughout dinner, she leaned forward when Jake spoke, laughed just a little too loud at his jokes, touched his arm when making points about the wedding timeline. "She's just excited for you," Jake whispered when I noticed her behavior. Maya's always been dramatic. When it came time for the maid of honor speech, Maya stood with tears in her eyes, holding the microphone like she was addressing the United Nations. "Claire has always been my role model," she said, her voice breaking with what seemed like genuine emotion. "She's taught me about loyalty, about supporting the people you love no matter what." When Jake came into her life, I saw my sister transform into the happiest version of herself. She paused, dabbing at her eyes. "Jake, you're getting someone who will fight for your dreams, who will stand by you through anything. Claire, you're getting someone who sees how incredible you are." She raised her glass with a trembling hand. "To Claire and Jake, may you always choose each other first, no matter what challenges come your way." The room erupted in applause. Jake kissed my cheek, whispering, "Your sister really loves you." I felt guilty for ever doubting Maya's intentions. 2 nights later, I couldn't sleep. Wedding nerves, I thought. Our big day was in 18 hours. I'd already laid out my dress, a vintage-inspired A-line with hand-sewn pearls that my grandmother had worn in 1952. I confirmed the final head count with the caterer, 147 guests. Double-checked that the rings were safely tucked in Jake's best man's pocket. My phone was set with alarms every hour to remind me to drink water and eat something. At 5 in the morning, I gave up on sleep and decided to surprise Jake with coffee at his apartment, our last morning as an unmarried couple. I picked up his favorite dark roast from the 24-hour diner and grabbed fresh bagels. My key turned in his lock like it had hundreds of times before. I found them in his bed. My sister, my fiancé, the white silk lingerie I'd bought for our honeymoon, $300 worth of delicate lace from the boutique Maya had recommended, tangled around her ankles. The engagement ring I'd watched him save for, working double shifts for 8 months, gleaming on the nightstand next to empty champagne glasses and leftover takeout from Russo's, the Italian place where we'd celebrated our 6-month anniversary. Maya saw me first. Instead of shame or surprise, I saw triumph in her eyes. She'd been waiting for this moment, planning for it. "I was going to tell you," she said, sitting up slowly, not bothering to cover herself. Jake realized he chose the wrong sister. Jake scrambled for his boxers, stammering apologies about it just happening, about being confused, about still loving me somehow. His face was red with shame and panic, sweat beading on his forehead. "Claire, this isn't what it looks like," he said, the most cliché lie possible. But Maya cut him off with a laugh that chilled my blood. The same laugh she'd used when she told our parents I'd broken Mom's antique vase when we were 12. The laugh that meant she'd won again. "Stop pretending you're sorry, Jake. We've been planning this for months. Tell her about the hotel room in Vegas when you went for that restaurant conference. Tell her about Christmas when you said my name in your sleep. Tell her about last week when you said you wished you'd met me first." My knees almost buckled. The Vegas conference was in March, 7 months ago. Christmas was at my parents' house, where Maya had stayed in the guest room next to ours. Last week, when Jake had been distant, claiming work stress. "Tell her about the loan," Maya continued, her voice getting stronger and more confident. "Tell her how you're planning to use her savings to open a restaurant with me instead." The room spun. My $23,000. The money I'd saved working 60-hour weeks as a nursing assistant, picking up extra shifts during holidays, skipping meals to put away every possible dollar. "Maya, stop," Jake said weakly. But she was on a roll now. "Tell her about the apartment we looked at last week. The one with the big kitchen and the garden view. Tell her how we've been planning to leave right after the wedding, take her money, and start fresh in Portland." Portland? Jake had mentioned Portland recently, claiming a chef friend had offered him a job there. I'd encouraged him to consider it. For months, while I'd been ordering flowers and scheduling cake tastings, sending save the dates and choosing centerpieces, they'd been planning my humiliation. I walked out without a word. For the next 6 hours, I sat in my car at Sunset Beach, the place where Jake had proposed 13 months earlier. He'd planned an elaborate sunset picnic, complete with my favorite Thai food and a playlist of songs that meant something to our relationship. "I can't imagine doing any of this without you," he'd said, his hands shaking as he opened the ring box. "You make me better at everything." I should have been crying, calling my parents, canceling vendors. Instead, I felt something cold and calculating settle in my chest. Maya had taken everything from me since we were children. Each time, I'd forgiven her because family was supposed to forgive. But this was different. This wasn't a borrowed sweater or a stolen boyfriend. This was my future, my money, my life she planned to destroy. I drove home at 11 in the morning and found my parents frantically calling vendors to cancel the wedding. "Sweetheart," Mom said when she saw me, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "Jake called." He explained about the confusion with Maya. "He says it's just cold feet, that these things happen before big commitments. Maybe you two can work it out if you just talk." Even now, they were taking his side. "There's no confusion," I said calmly. "The wedding is still happening tomorrow, just not the way anyone expects." I locked myself in my childhood bedroom and got to work. First, I called my cousin Derek, who worked in tech security. Derek had always been my favorite relative, 3 years older, wickedly smart, and someone who'd never fallen for Maya's manipulation. "I need a favor," I said. "Remember when you said I could ask for anything after I helped you through your divorce?" I explained the situation, the affair, the money, the planned betrayal. "Those pieces of shit," Derek said. "What do you need?" "I need to know everything. How long this has been going on, what they've been planning, whether there are others involved. And I need it documented in a way that can't be questioned or denied." Give me Jake's address and phone number, Derek said. I can have micro cameras installed in his apartment within 2 hours. And Derek, I need this done legally. Everything has to be admissible. Leave that to me. Next, I called Chelsea Morrison, the wedding photographer Maya had personally recommended. Chelsea specialized in candid moments and authentic emotions at weddings. Chelsea, this is Claire Richardson. You're photographing my wedding tomorrow. Oh my God, Claire. I'm so excited. Are you having pre-wedding jitters? Actually, there's been a change in plans. I have a very specific shot list for tomorrow, and I need to know you're willing to capture some unconventional moments. Of course. What did you have in mind? I need you to document everything that happens tomorrow. Everything. Even if it seems inappropriate or uncomfortable. Especially if it seems inappropriate or uncomfortable. There was a pause. Maya mentioned you might want some dramatic shots. She said you're really into authentic storytelling. I'm totally on board. So Maya had been planning this, setting up her photographer friend to document my humiliation. Perfect. And Chelsea, there might be some video components to tomorrow's event. Are you comfortable with live streaming? Absolutely. I do a lot of social media integration. Then I made the hardest call of all. Mrs. Patterson, I said when Jake's mother answered. It's Claire. I have something important to tell you about tomorrow's wedding. Jake's mother Patricia had never liked Maya. She'd called her that manipulative little peacock after Maya flirted shamelessly with Jake's married brother at our engagement party. I told her everything. Finding them together, the months of lies, how they'd planned to humiliate me at my own wedding and steal my savings. The silence stretched, so long I thought she'd hung up. Those sinful children, she finally whispered, her voice shaking with rage. After everything you've done for that boy. Mrs. Patterson, I have a plan. But I need your help. Tell me what you need, sweetheart. I explained. Mrs. Patterson listened, occasionally making approving sounds. You sure this is legal? Derek's handling the technical aspects. Everything will be documented properly. Good. Jake needs to learn that actions have consequences. And Maya needs to understand that not everyone will just roll over and let her take what she wants. The morning of my wedding, I woke at 6 feeling calmer than I had in months. Maya texted me at 6:15. Jake told me everything. I'm so sorry, sis. I never meant for this to happen. Can we talk before the ceremony? Even now, she was lying, hoping to convince me to quietly cancel everything while she and Jake rode off with my money. I texted back. Of course. See you at the church. We'll have plenty of time to talk. Derek sent me a text at 3 a.m. Package delivered. Everything's in place. You're going to love the bonus footage. At 10, I arrived at St. Mary's Catholic Church in my wedding dress. 200 people had traveled to celebrate what they thought was my happily ever after. Maya waited in the bridal suite, wearing the sapphire bridesmaid dress. She looked nervous for the first time in her life. Claire, I need to explain. No explanation needed, I said, adjusting her hair with gentle hands. You want Jake? You can have him. Her face lit up with relief and victory. Really? You're not mad. How could I be mad? You're my sister. If you think Jake is your soulmate, who am I to stand in the way of true love? Maya practically glowed. In her mind, I was the same pushover sister who'd always rolled over. There's just one tiny change to the ceremony, I said casually. Since you two are so in love, I thought you should be the one to walk down the aisle today. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I've arranged for you to marry Jake instead. Right now, in front of everyone. The color drained from her face. Claire, we can't just. Why not? You love him. He loves you. Everyone's already here. The flowers are paid for. The cake is ready. And I've arranged for a very special documentation of your big moment. Maya knew she was trapped. If she refused, she'd look like the manipulative homewrecker she was. If she accepted, she'd be married to Jake before she could think through the consequences. Where is Jake? Getting ready. He's so excited to marry you, Maya. That was a lie. Jake had spent the morning texting me frantically. I blocked his number and forwarded all his messages to Maya with a note. Your groom seems nervous. Maybe you should comfort him. 20 minutes later, Maya stood at the back of St. Mary's in a hastily altered wedding dress borrowed from our cousin Jennifer. Pastor Williams, stepped to the microphone. Due to unexpected circumstances, we're celebrating the union of Jake Patterson and Maya Richardson today instead of Claire Richardson and Jake Patterson. The congregation murmured in confusion. I sat in the front row next to my mortified parents, answering their urgent whispers with serene smiles. Maya walked down the aisle to Jake, who looked like he might vomit. He kept glancing at me desperately. The ceremony proceeded. When Pastor Williams asked if anyone objected, 200 pairs of eyes turned to me. I smiled serenely and gave a small encouraging nod. Jake, do you take Maya to be your lawfully wedded wife? Jake glanced at me one more time. His mother was glaring from the second row. 200 guests were waiting. I do, he croaked. Maya, do you take Jake to be your lawfully wedded husband? Maya hesitated, then lifted her chin defiantly. I do. You may kiss the bride. The kiss was awkward and brief. Chelsea captured it all. During the cocktail hour, I played the perfect gracious sister, explaining that love had simply found a different path, that I was thrilled to see Maya and Jake together. You're handling this so well, guests said, impressed by my composure. Maya and Jake sat at the head table during dinner, looking increasingly uncomfortable as reality set in. They were married with no prenup in front of everyone they knew. That's when I stood up. Before we cut the cake, I announced, tapping my champagne glass, I have a special surprise for the happy couple. The room quieted. As most of you know, Maya and Jake's love story has been developing for quite some time. I thought it would be wonderful to share that journey with all of you. The lights dimmed. A large screen descended from the ceiling, the same screen we'd rented for a slideshow. Chelsea has done an amazing job documenting their relationship. But today, I want to share some earlier footage that really captures the depth of their connection. The video began with Maya and Jake in bed together, not from the night I caught them, but from 3 months earlier. Derek's hidden cameras had captured everything in crystal clear HD. The footage showed them laughing about how clueless I was, planning their strategy. Claire's always been so trusting, Maya said on screen. She has no idea we've been planning this since March. The room went dead silent. Tell me again about the money, Jake said, running his hands down Maya's body. 23,000. Once we're married and moved to Portland, she'll never be able to touch it. The video continued. Months of planning. Jake practicing his breakup speech. Maya trying on my wedding dress in his apartment. Maya calculating savings by keeping vendors I'd already paid. Jake talking about manipulating me into signing over power of attorney. The most damning clip was from a week ago. Maya on the phone. Claire's always been pathetic. She'll probably beg Jake to take her back, but we'll be long gone by then. She's too spineless to fight for anything. 200 guests watched in stunned silence. Jake's mother stood up and walked out, her face twisted with disgust. My parents sat frozen in horror. Maya's sorority sisters were filming with their phones. When the video ended, I stood with the microphone. Surprise, I said brightly. I thought everyone should know what kind of love story they were celebrating today. The room erupted. Guests began leaving, throwing napkins on tables in disgust. Jake's groomsmen looked ready to fight him. One more gift, I announced as chaos swirled. Derek stood from his corner table and nodded. Every phone in the room received the same text message simultaneously, a link to a private website where the full video was posted along with screenshots of their text messages. Just so everyone can remember this special day. The website includes all the footage Derek collected, including lovely conversations about disappearing to Portland with my life savings. And Maya, sweetheart, you might want to check your social media. Maya looked at her phone and screamed. The video was spreading across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Derek had made sure it would be impossible to remove, uploading it to multiple platforms and sending it to every gossip blog and local news station. The hashtag is sisterly love, I added helpfully. Feel free to share your thoughts. Jake finally found his voice. Claire, you're insane. We can get this marriage annulled. Actually, I said, pulling out a folder of legal documents, you can't. You're both over 18, mentally competent, and said I do in front of 200 witnesses. In this state, consummation isn't required for a legal marriage, and there's no evidence of coercion. Derek helped me research the laws thoroughly. Congratulations, you're stuck with each other. This is revenge porn. Maya shrieked. I'll sue you. Actually, Derek called out, standing and addressing the room. Everything was filmed in spaces where you had no expectation of privacy. Jake's apartment building lease specifically mentioned security cameras. The building management installed them legally after getting tenant consent. Jake signed the paperwork 3 months ago. Plus, the church ceremony was a public event you both consented to have filmed. He held up official-looking documents. Everything is perfectly legal. I have the permits, consent forms, and legal opinions to prove it. Jake grabbed Maya's arm. We're leaving. Good idea, I said cheerfully. Your honeymoon suite at the Hilton is already paid for. Non refundable. The penthouse package with champagne and rose petals. I thought you'd appreciate the irony. As they fled through the kitchen, I heard Maya screaming at Jake about ruining her life. This is all your fault. You said she was stupid. You said she'd never fight back. You're the one who wanted to steal her money. Jake yelled back. Their voices faded as they disappeared into the parking lot. The cleanup took 2 hours. Many guests stopped to apologize for not seeing through the deception sooner. We should have told you, said Mike, Jake's roommate from culinary school. Jake's been acting weird for months. We thought he was just stressed about the wedding. Mrs. Patterson was the last to leave. She hugged me tightly. I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. That boy got exactly what he deserved. And Maya will learn soon enough what kind of man she married. What do you mean? Jake's always been selfish and weak. The minute things get difficult, he runs. Maya thinks she won some great prize, but she'll discover she's married to a coward who will blame her for everything. The next morning, I woke without anxiety for the first time in months. My phone had hundreds of messages, but they were messages of support. Friends and family were reaching out, saying they'd always suspected Maya was manipulative. The video had revealed patterns they'd noticed but dismissed. I always knew something was off about Maya, texted my college roommate Jessica. Remember when she tried to convince me you were talking bad about me behind my back? Now I know she was just trying to isolate you. Jake's restaurant investors were pulling out after seeing the video. $150,000 in promised funding, gone overnight. Maya's employer, a conservative law firm, had fired her for moral turpitude and behavior inconsistent with the firm's Christian principles. The best message came from Jake's brother David. Thank God you dodged that bullet. Jake's been a selfish jerk since we were kids, and Maya's perfect for him. 2 narcissists deserve each other. 3 months later, I got a text from Maya. I want a divorce. Jake's a nightmare, and everyone treats us like pariahs. Please help me. I'll pay back the money. I screenshotted it and posted it on social media with the caption, "Some people never learn. P.S. What money? I never gave you any money." The comments were brutal. The wedding video had gone viral beyond our local community. Maya and Jake had become internet famous as proof that karma is real. Epilogue 1 year later. A year later, Maya and Jake were still married, not because they wanted to be, but because neither could afford a divorce lawyer. Their reputations were ruined, their careers destroyed. They'd moved to 3 different states, but Derek's video followed them everywhere. Social media algorithms made sure anyone who searched their names found the wedding footage. Maya had legally changed her name and was working as a cashier at a gas station in Wyoming. Jake was washing dishes at a truck stop diner, his dreams of owning a restaurant permanently destroyed. Every time they tried to start over, someone would recognize them from the video. I, meanwhile, had used the year to travel, start my own nursing consulting business, and rediscover who I was without Jake's dead weight. The money I'd saved for his restaurant became seed funding for my own company, helping hospitals improve patient care protocols. Last month, I got engaged to Derek, the cousin who'd helped orchestrate the perfect revenge. He understood loyalty, creativity, and the importance of standing up for yourself. Our relationship had grown naturally from friendship to something deeper. You know, I fell in love with you during the planning phase, he told me when he proposed. Watching you take control of your life like that, it was the sexiest thing I'd ever seen. Maya sent a bitter congratulations card to my parents' house. Hope your marriage lasts longer than your capacity for forgiveness. I sent back a simple reply. It will. I finally learned to choose people who choose me first. The wedding is next spring. Maya and Jake aren't invited, but I'm sure they'll find a way to watch the video online. After all, Derek's already promised to live stream the whole thing with the hashtag #TrueRealLove. The guest list includes everyone who was at the first wedding. They're all eager to celebrate an actual love story this time. Mrs. Patterson will be walking me down the aisle since my father passed away last fall. Even Jake's college friends are coming, bringing their wives who want to meet the woman who exposed those cheaters. The best part, every vendor from the original wedding has offered their services for free. The photographer, the florist, the caterer, they all want to be part of a real celebration after being unwitting participants in Maya and Jake's deception. This time, the cake designer told me, we're making something sweet enough to wash away the bitter taste of last year's disaster. I couldn't agree more. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't just getting even, it's building a life so good that your betrayers can only watch from the outside, realizing exactly what they threw away. And every single day, Maya and Jake have to live with the consequences of their choices, married to each other in a prison of their own making, while I get to build a future with someone who actually deserves me. That's the real gift that keeps on giving. The end. This has been a Reddit story about family betrayal, wedding revenge, and the ultimate karma. What do you think? Did I go too far, or did they get exactly what they deserved? Let me know in the comments.